I'd like to call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank each and every one of you for coming out on a rainy Monday evening to join us for the public forum this evening regarding your budget priorities for the Montgomery County School Board. The next item on our agenda is an adoption of the agenda, and I need a motion to adopt the agenda. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We now have an agenda. The next item on our agenda is a presentation on the FY 13-14 budget by Ms. Blackburn. And board members, at this time, so we're able to see the presentation, we're going to move down to the audience at this time.
First of all, let me add my appreciation to that of Mr. Jones. It's a pleasure to see each of you here this evening. I think it might be one of the most important meetings that we've had in my tenure here. And we've had a lot of important meetings since I've been here because there have been a lot of things going on. And I can't think of anything more important right now than trying to secure the future for our kids and for our communities. And that's really what we're going to be talking about when we start talking this evening about the budget for 2013-2014. Again, it's a pleasure for me to have an opportunity to speak to you. Some of you I've already had a chance to speak to. I've been visiting faculty meetings. I've been talking with our PTA, PTO representatives, with our support advisory committee, with anybody who'll listen. I've been talking. So tonight it's a pleasure to just get to make a few remarks to you, and I will be brief because the purpose of the meeting tonight is to listen to you. But I thought it was important to try to lay a groundwork so that we're operating off some of the same facts. So I'm going to ask some strategic questions. You know, as an English student, whenever you wrote a paper, they said you have to ask questions like who, what, why, how, when, get the important facts in there. So tonight, I decided to do this presentation from the same perspective. And I'm going to start off with what are we doing here tonight? It's November. It's not budget time yet. We don't know how much money we're going to have. There are a lot of unknowns, but I think that there's one thing that I can say about starting the budget process early, and that is that we're doing it because we anticipate that we're going to have another very challenging budget year. And if you've got challenges, the best thing you can do is get your team together and start figuring out what you're going to do about it at the earliest possible time. There's some other reasons that we're starting early this year. First of all, we want to make sure that you are fully aware of any budget recommendation that might affect your child, your school, or even your job. I know there are many employees in the audience this evening. Third, we want to engage you in seeking appropriate funding for public education. And that's a huge issue. And if you'll notice on the back of one of the handouts that you have, we have listed for you with contact information all of your elected officials. You are powerful. You are registered voters. Your elected delegates want to hear from you what's important, just like tonight the school board wants to hear from you what are your priorities. Your elected officials want to hear that, and I urge you to contact them and let them know what your thoughts are about adequately funding public education. And finally, we're doing this tonight because we want to know what your priorities are. The board will be faced with some very, very difficult decisions, just as they were last year. And it's important that we know what's important to the community. I know you are here because education is important to you. And I often have an opportunity to say this, and I'll say it again tonight. As your school system goes, so will go your community. So again, I urge you to join forces this evening as we try to secure the future for the students and for the communities in Montgomery County. So why do we have another bad budget year? You know, this is coming on the heels of 4 previous bad budget years. So this is the 5th year. I've been in education a long, long time, and I have never seen 5 straight years of the kind of challenges that we have in terms of just trying to provide the services that we want to for our students and to treat our employees in the way and manner in which they should be treated. So what are some of those issues, and why are some of those things causing us problems? You know, all of a sudden the election's over, and you're starting to hear about the funding cliff, the federal funding cliff. And that's what I've been talking about as I've talked about sequestration. What it is if we're unable to reach a compromise agreement about how to reduce the budget shortfall at the federal level, then there's going to be an 8.2% across the board cut to some federal programs, of which Montgomery County Public Schools will be a part. And that 8.2% for us is about somewhere between $350,000 and $400,000. And who does it touch? It touches some of the most needy kids that we have in our school division. It touches your federal programs that serve Title I and special education. Now, the way the feds play ball most of the time, they give you money and they require you do certain things with it. But my experience many times with that has been that when the feds take the money back, they don't change the regs. They still require that you do the same thing. So I'm very concerned that with sequestration or the federal funding cliff that we're facing, that we will not only lose $400,000, but we'll still have to do the things that the $400,000 was paying for. So that's one of the whys. We have increased cost. You know, some of you have had the advantage of working in one of our newer schools. We've opened Eastern Montgomery Elementary School. We've opened Price's Fork Elementary School. And those schools don't operate at the same price for the same cost that the smaller schools that they replaced operated at. And we have 2 amazing new high schools that are coming to our community to serve our children and to serve the needs of the community. And they're going to cost us more to operate. So that's one of the increased costs. We have an increased cost of employee benefits. Over time, employee benefits have been rising at a cost of about 9% per year. And it's money that has to come out of the operating fund to be able to cover those. We started an implementation of the changes in VRS, and although initially they were talked about as being revenue neutral, in the year 1 in which we took care of only 1% of the required 5, it cost Montgomery County Public Schools an additional $140,000. So we have to budget again in 13-14 to transfer more of the VRS expenditures. Last year, the Board of Supervisors very generously provided us one-time funding for some very important expenditures. They were roofs, and I have a commitment to keeping your schools dry. So it's going to always be on my list of priorities to have money for roofs. They also gave us some additional money for technology, and they gave us some money to buy 4 school buses. That was one-time money, so there's no assurance that we'll get that money again from the Board of Supervisors, and we need to continue to make those kinds of purchases. So those are just some of the increased costs that we are expecting, and they total over $1 million. Very quickly, the numbers add up. We have some additional needs. We have almost $2 million worth of additional needs based on my review of our budget situation. First of all, we have a need to have competitive compensation for our employees. Our employees have seen very little change in compensation in the last 4 years, in fact, only 1%. And unfortunately, many of the other school divisions in the region had a much better 2012-2013 budget picture than we did. And we're not competitive, and I'll give you just 3 little facts to illustrate it. If you look at beginning teacher salary, if you look at the 11 counties that are close to us, or the 11 school divisions closest to us, we rank 8th in beginning salary out of 11 divisions. We're due best at the midpoint, where we rank 4th out of the 11 school divisions. And at the top of our teacher scale with our most experienced teachers, we rank 7th. We're in the bottom quartile. That's not good enough for the kind of quality instruction that I see going on in our schools, and it's also not going to be good enough for the long range to allow us to attract and retain the very best teachers that we can in our classrooms. So it is a priority. We have this VRS issue hanging over our head, and I mentioned that last year we did 1% of what was required. We did 1% because we were broke and struggling to balance a budget last year. 65% of the school divisions in the state of Virginia took care of the whole 5% in year 1. And so did Montgomery County for their employees. And so did many other counties in our region. But we were unable to do that, and we need to address it, and we need to address it now. It's a $500,000 price tag. And finally, we know right now how much money we're expecting to get from the second year of the governor's biennium budget. The anticipated new revenue for Montgomery County from the state in 2013-2014 is less than $250,000. Now, will it improve? I hope so. You know, generally in the second year of the biennium, there are some things that change in the governor's budget, and the revenue picture in many, many areas of the state has been positive. So hopefully that number is small, but it isn't big enough, I don't think, to address the needs that we're facing for 13-14. So now to the how. To me, it's actually pretty simple. You either have to have additional revenue, and it can come from the state, it can come from the county, or it can come from the feds, which is probably not likely considering the issues that are being faced there. Or we can reduce expenditures. There are no more easy cuts to make, because this is the 5th year, 13-14, of making budget reductions. So you hear people say, take the low-hanging fruit. Well, the low-hanging fruit's gone, the mid-hanging fruit is gone, and we're getting to the heart of the matter and taking the very core of the things that are important to our school system. As I look at trying to balance the budget, I have to come back to the same three things that I zeroed in on last year. Your money for this school district is in three places. It's in people and benefits, which you would expect, because we are a people-intensive service industry. I mean, you know, we're all about people, so that's not a surprise. And it's also in our buildings, how we operate them, how many we operate. So that's where I see the money. If you look at our budget, 89% of it is in people and benefits. 10%, 11% is in everything else, and that's only about $10 million. The budget is $92 million. So you've got 89% of that going into the people who support education in our schools, and that's not surprising. I think this graph just grabs my attention every single time I look at it. In the time period from 2008-2009, the state funding for Montgomery County schools has declined by $10 million. You see the line. It's a dead drop. There's no doubt what's happening to that state revenue. Then you look at the county revenue, and you can see that the county has attempted to step up to the plate and fill the void as the state has shifted more and more the responsibility for education to the local government. And they have increased our funding by almost $4 million. But you can do the math. $10 million lost, $4 million gained, and you're still -6. And you see the federal funding across the bottom has pretty much been stagnant for the entire time, and expecting another $0.4 million potential decrease. So to get back to the central focus for tonight, I thought it was important just to share a few facts to set the stage for your comments, and so that we would level the playing field a little bit about information. You have lots of information in your hands on the handouts that you've been given this evening. And on the Montgomery County Public Schools website, go to the right-hand side of the page, there's a button, you hit it, it takes you to all the budget information for 13-14. So we've tried to give you lots of information. But the goals for tonight, it's an opportunity for us to listen to the community. Again, the board has some huge decisions to make as we move into the planning for the budget for 13-14. Please tell us tonight your priorities for education in Montgomery County. Spending time telling us not to do something isn't nearly as powerful as coming to the podium and telling us what is important in terms of education for Montgomery County, for the students that we serve. Finally, I would encourage you again to take a look at the information, not only what you have with you this evening, but what is available on our website. In closing, I appreciate each of you being here this evening, especially on a rainy, bad, dismal evening like this one is. And I had hoped it would rain all day and then the sunshine would come out and it'd be a clear night, but not to be. I join you in believing that we must take steps together to secure the future for public education in Montgomery County and for the communities and the students that we serve in Montgomery County Public Schools. I would encourage you tonight, if you want to speak, please do so. We have about 40 speakers signed up, and there was a sign-up sheet out back that you may also add your name to. If you don't want to speak, but you have a great idea to share or a great educational priority that you want us to know about, we provided you with some sheets of paper that you can provide written input with, and that we will have boxes at the back that you can put them in as you go out the door so that we can have that information. Because this is our opportunity to listen to you. Again, I thank you. I look forward to hearing your comments this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Blackburn. I appreciate the presentation this evening. The next item on our agenda is the guidelines for the public forum and the public forum. And if you would just, for a brief moment, I'd like to give you an idea of what we're going to do this evening. First of all, we have two podiums in front of us, and you can use both podiums. Each speaker is limited to 2 minutes. So on each podium, there is a lighting system. And it is green as you begin to speak. When it hits 30 seconds, it will turn yellow, and then when your time is up, it will turn red. And out of respect for all the speakers that have signed up, we would like to encourage you to limit your comments to the 2 minutes. And we'll politely ask you to, succeed to the next speaker. We'd also like to encourage you to withhold any kind of applause, comments, cheering, or whatever, because that does impact the other speakers as they're trying to speak. We certainly do encourage your support. We encourage that you come out this evening, and we certainly want to hear from everyone, and that will give everybody ample opportunity. We will conclude this evening at 10 o'clock or until the last speaker has spoken, because tonight is strictly listening to you, the community, and that's what this board is here for this evening. We'd also ask if you have your cell phones, if you would please mute your cell phones, turn your cell phones on vibrate, so that not to distract the speakers as they are speaking. And what I'm going to do with the list that I have before me is I'm going to call out 2 names, the name of the speaker, and then the person that is going to be following the speaker. And so we'll begin. The first person signed up is Connie Froggett, and after Connie Froggett is William Noble. If you would, please step forward and state your name and address. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. My name is Connie Froggett, and I reside at 1751 Brush Mountain Creek Road, Montgomery County. I would like to comment tonight on the budget process rather than specific budget items. As you begin this process, I think it is important to go back to your core mission, which is education first, and base your priorities on what directly affects education, such as the people who deliver it, and less on what supports education, such as athletics. As elected officials, I think it is important that you set aside your personal biases on what is palatable and what is not palatable to you, and base your decisions on what is best for our children and their education. In order to make unbiased decisions, I think you need to use a method that teachers use on a regular basis, some kind of rubric that consists of a set of objective criteria on which every budget item is rated, and that answers prioritized questions such as, what is the cost savings? What will the immediate effect of this cut be? What will the long-term effects be? Is this item directly related to education, or is it a supplemental item that does not fall under our mandate? And is this cut supported or opposed by a majority of the stakeholders, not just the ones who show up at the meetings? These are just a few examples of the questions you should be asking yourselves about every proposed cut. There is another issue that seems to come up a lot, which is balance. For example, is it more balanced to eliminate middle school athletics, which only affects middle school athletes, or is it more balanced to impose pay to play, which affects all athletes? Your initial response might be to eliminate middle school athletics because it affects fewer students. But in doing so, you are completely eliminating a program. Is it not a more balanced approach to share the burden among all athletes with provisions for those who can't afford that burden? And most importantly, you need to be prepared to make tough decisions, even if you don't like them. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person is William Noble. After Mr. Noble is Kara Latimer. And I apologize if I mispronounced names this evening. I'll give it my best shot. Bear with Mr. Noble.
My name is William Noble. I reside at 501 Seminole Drive, Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm a math teacher at Blacksburg High School. And first I'd like to say I appreciate all the work you guys do. I do pray for leaders, and last year you guys were well on top of my list. My position, or my desire is to not hold any of the funding back for the schools. Let's fully fund the schools. We're already seeing what's happening from the reduced funding already. In my general classes I teach, I sometimes end up with students that cannot keep up with the class. They need to move to some place where they're more successful. Right now, there isn't more seats left available for them to move. It's just that tough. And there's a seating issue throughout all the grades, at probably most of the schools, that there are not seats enough for people to get into places that they want to, or to move to some place that will make them more successful. We can't afford to keep cutting the schools, keep reducing staff. It's not working. I think Ms. Blackburn said it right. There is no more fat to cut. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Kara Latimer.
Hi, I'm Kara Latimer. I reside at 130 Somerset Street in Christiansburg.
Would you mind pulling the mic just a little bit closer to you?
Sure.
And then the next person signed up is Andrew Newton. If Andrew Newton would come forward.
A shy, science and math-minded kid goes to middle school. As parents, we worry that he'll find friends, and a group of friends that will respect his intellect and individuality. Kid finds theater. Kid finds music. Kid finds friends. Kid goes to high school. Kid takes AP classes. Kid excels. Excels individually, excels emotionally, and gains personal confidence because he participated in the arts. He participated in arts programs where he had no background, but he learned because he had an opportunity. He grew and became a better young man because of the influence of the arts. The arts have been credited with motivating students to continue school and not drop out. Linda Ramey, in her article titled "Examination of the Impact of Involvement in the Arts on Students' Decisions to Stay in School," was able to draw conclusions that students were less likely to drop out of school because of courses in middle and high school in the arts. I believe this is a goal of the Montgomery County School System, encouraging students to stay in school. Often folks who make decisions don't see the arts in play for a variety of reasons. If you attended the recent talent competition, you were able to witness the awesome talent all around the New River Valley that our students have. It is my sincere hope that our school board, the elected officials, understand the importance of empowering our young people to do better, be more than they ever thought they could be, and achieve greater things by attending the arts and not cutting arts programs. Evaluate and assess the arts, report the findings and show quantitative measures, but don't limit our shy and science, math-minded kids like mine to experience the world as it could be. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Andrew Newton. After Mr. Newton is Marissa Sachs.
My name is Andrew Newton. I live at 655 Cameron Street here in Christiansburg. I want to thank you for the time this evening to come and speak to you. I have two children in Montgomery County, one at Christiansburg Middle School and one here at the high school. Over the last 2 years, I've become concerned with the conditions at Christiansburg High School. I believe that this school is extremely underserved and in need of many repairs. While other schools in the county are also in need of repair, I believe that Christiansburg is being left behind. The school is loaded with great students and teachers who deserve all the same benefits as the rest of the county system. We're a school of great pride. We have a dedicated group of educators that work hard for our students' success. We have a great fine arts program, including award-winning marching, symphonic, and concert band, chorus programs, drama departments. Our sports are excellent, with football, basketball, and wrestling constantly competing for state championships. I feel that monies need to be looked at to relocate from other programs so that they help not only educate and strengthen our children, but also to provide a safe and comfortable learning environment. The sidewalks leading into the school are full of cracks, lights throughout the building and entryways are not functioning properly, several doors are in disrepair and don't work, the fire system has not been updated for several years, we pay locker fees when only about 60% of the lockers here in the school work. The auditorium, which is used for not only the fine arts, but also throughout the day, is in desperate need of repairs. Many of the seats need to be replaced, the lights, the stage, along the catwalk need to be replaced, curtains are in shabby conditions. Another concern of mine is the pay to play. Our families are already paying for their students to participate in these activities. We pay through tax dollars, fundraising, donations, and other requests for support so that we can provide better opportunities for our children. Many of these young people will not go on to a four-year college, and they need training in business and vocational skills. And these are the things that our educators and athletics and fine art programs need to put forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person signed up is Marissa Sachs. And after Ms. Sachs is Tiffany Allison.
I'm Marissa Sachs at 65 Mulberry Drive in Christiansburg. I have a daughter in 9th grade here at Christiansburg High School, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the facts of music education. Approximately 90% of the brain's motor control capabilities are devoted to the hands, mouth, and throat. With this in mind, experts say that the fine dexterity involved with playing an instrument can exercise the entire brain and stimulate general intelligence. Students of lower socioeconomic status who took music lessons in grades 8 through 12 increased their math scores significantly. But just as important, reading, history, geography, and even social skills soared by over 40%. Students at risk of not completing high school indicate that the arts participation motivated them to stay in school, and that the arts created a supportive environment that promotes constructive acceptance of criticism, and one in which it is safe to take risks. High school students who participate in band report the lowest lifetime and current use of all drugs. The skills gained through sequential music instruction, including discipline and the ability to analyze, solve problems, communicate, and work cooperatively, are vital for the success in the 21st century workplace. So I do ask that when you're considering your budget modifications, please remember how important music education is to an overall student's education. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Tiffany Allison. After Ms. Allison is Tom Zuckerwald.
My name is Tiffany Allison, and I live at 300 Rudabush Drive in Christiansburg. I grew up in a very small town called Hayside, located in one of the poorest counties in the state, Dickinson County, where I attended Hayside High School. My graduating class numbered just 85 students. I mentioned Hayside High School because in 2001, facing budget constraints, it sacrificed one of the few non-sports related programs the students had, its band program. Those of us who were lucky enough to experience it have only our memories. My daughter is in marching band here at Christiansburg. I see the joy she gets from it and how she loves it more than anything else she's been a part of. She's never felt so accepted and part of a team. She's also a straight-A student. Now here are some facts. Research has linked musical education to the development of mathematical skills, increased creativity, verbal memory, vocabulary, and improved coordination and muscular development. A study at the University of California clearly proved that music trains the brain for higher forms of thinking. In fact, among the people who have had musical training in their background are astronaut Neil Armstrong, who played the baritone, novelist Charles Dickens, who played the accordion, scientist Albert Einstein, who was skilled in both the piano and violin, former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, who at one point in her life wanted to be a concert pianist, and Donald Glaser, a physicist who received the Nobel Prize in 1960, who also happens to play the violin. Would Einstein have been Einstein without his piano and violin? We'll never know. But why take the chance with our future scientists, mathematicians, politicians, and writers? In summary, I beg Montgomery County to understand the importance of the arts in our schools. Please don't take away something that can only benefit the children and inspire excellence. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Tom Zuckerwald, and after Zuckerwald is Sarah Peters.
Good evening. My name is Tom Zuckerwald. I live at 3910 Fieldcrest Drive in Reiner. I'm the proud parent of an Auburn Elementary School second grader and a rising kindergarten student. I'm here today to voice my support for expanded school budget revenue and share my priority recommendations as a concerned citizen and parent. I attended several budget meetings last year and was dismayed at the ferocious lack of regard for our children's education and the criticism of school operations. For those that say they support our schools but do not support adequate funding, I simply say no, You cannot have one without the other. If you don't want pay to play, if you don't want school closures or consolidations, if you don't want reduced bus service, then proper funding must be a priority, and it must be accepted and supported by the community and the Board of Supervisors. Securing proper funding, despite millions in state cuts, must be priority number one. I support additional real estate taxes to close the state's funding shortfall. The first priority of this board must be to build a consensus among community, civic, church, and elected leaders to properly fund our schools in face of the severe ongoing state budget cuts. The second priority must be to minimize the student impact of any such shortfalls. To this end, there is much confusion and misinformation in the community about school operations. Last year, while wearing a support education sticker, a woman in Kroger told me that bus drivers earn $75,000 a year, and that's why she did not support any additional real estate tax increase. Clearly, communicating a clear and coherent message regarding the school budget challenges and consequences must be a priority of this board. The budget shortfall is the result of state cuts and not wasteful spending, and it's time that the community understood this. While I applaud the school system providing much information on its website.
Mr. Zuckerward, your time is up. Thank you. The next person signed up is Sarah Peters. After Ms. Peters is Linda Granada.
I'm Kathy Peters. Sarah has a physics test in the morning and asked me to come in her place. We're 2280 Hitching Post Drive in Christiansburg. We're very distressed to hear that Montgomery County is once again considering ending its participation in the governor's school in order to save a very small amount of money. In a meeting with our faculty last week, Ms. Blackburn said that eliminating our participation for the upcoming juniors would save nearly $38,000. However, it would cost our students so much more in terms of programs and opportunities that are missed. The governor's school affords these students the chance to take classes that cannot be duplicated by our county. They are using specialized equipment and participating in classes with a community of highly motivated learners who challenge each other on a daily basis. These classes are rapidly paced and use a choice of assignments to suit many learning styles. These students are taught how they can utilize their abilities to be more successful as students. The money spent by Montgomery County does not represent the total cost to send these students. The state matches the money spent by our county, and ending our participation will adversely affect the governor's school budget and their ability to continue to provide this highly effective program to students in southwestern Virginia. Often I hear people say, oh, these kids will be fine no matter what, but that's not an assumption we can make. High-ability students need the motivation and rewards of performing to the best of their abilities as much as any other student. They can become the behavior problems and dropouts when they're not given the opportunity to be challenged and pushed to perform at a level that meets their abilities. Ms. Blackburn said she targeted governor's school because it would be something that would be easy to put back when the money becomes available. I don't think this will happen. Once this program is off the radar, it will not be a priority. I urge you to take this option off the table, give our students the opportunity to continue with this unique learning experience.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Linda Granada. After Ms. Granada is Noshoshi Digris. I hope I said that correctly.
Good evening. Thank you for letting us all speak our minds. I'm passionate also about the governor's school. The governor's school provides an entirely different learning environment for the students that go there. The students that apply and are accepted and decide to go, well, they're in class with the highly motivated students from, I don't know, 10 participating counties or more. The strengths of the governor's school are just that. It's a learning environment that they cannot get in their regular high schools. It's a dynamic, challenging, and a very cohesive learning atmosphere. Unlike pay for play, if governor's schools cut, we as parents cannot opt to pay the tuition to have our children go to governor's school. I'm not saying that pay for play is necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but we don't even have the option. The kids get more hands-on opportunities through their labs, through their science fair projects, and through the internships that they all experienced in the spring of their junior year. And I said this in the spring, we as a country are falling farther and farther behind everyone else when it comes to education. And I'm with the gentleman that spoke just 2 people ago. We need to fund our education. If it means raising taxes, then I, for one, am all for it. With the elimination of general education classes in Montgomery County, the Governor's School provides a place for the highly talented and motivated students to grow and excel in their math and science courses. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Shoshi Andrus. I hope I said that correctly. And the next person is Tony Ash.
Hi, my name is Nisha Dodges, and I'm a current senior at Southwest Virginia's Governor's School. First off, I would like to express my personal gratitude to everyone who has supported and helped further our learning opportunities. It's important to address how the school is different than our home schools. There, our classes are focused on science, math, and technology. The classes are differentiated in terms of the content, the process, and the products produced. We are expected to think independently by utilizing our skills for reasoning and synthesizing. The teachers take time to prepare their classes efficiently in regards to readiness, interest, and learning profile. They make sure every student counts. We are fortunate enough to experience and be part of a thriving learning environment that rewards hard work and creativity, something we often can't receive at our home schools. Personally, this school and the amazing friends I have made in it will be a part of my life forever. And I think it would be a shame for others not to be allowed to experience such an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Tony Ash. After Mr. Ash is Laura Russ.
Hello, Board. I appreciate this opportunity. My name is Tony Ash, 2930 Millwood Lane, Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm here to represent the Christiansburg Touchdown Club, and I appreciate the opening remarks by Ms. Blackburn about securing the future, and that's why I'm here. I don't have any kids in the system right now. I'm just a concerned citizen. Try to be active here, especially for athletics here at Christiansburg. And in the last 15 months, we've increased the value of the CHS campus by about $105,000. We've not asked for any help from the school board. This is the first appearance here by anyone to my knowledge. I know times are tough, but if we don't show up and ask, nobody's going to know what we need completed here. Practice field that we just completed was worth about $75,000. We paid that off already this year with a $16,000 check. The rest of the work was done by the community. We also put in $30,000 worth of lockers. We still owe $23,000 on that loan. Our kids did not have lockers to put their football equipment in. On the practice field that I was aforementioned, we still need to put some water trees in and a gravel pit for our players. Also, the field needs to be widened by 10 feet. We're also looking at field lights, 2 stands of lights on the north side of the field for when the time changes, and also a building at the west end of the field to cover our water tank, electrical system, and also to house our football practice gear. At the football stadium, we need an upgraded electrical supply to supply our existing concession stand, and also for proper usage of a Coke wagon. We just invested $1,100 in a piece of machinery, a generator, so that we could run our Coke wagon. And also, we need a new field out there for music.
Mr. Ash, your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person signed up is Laura Russ. And after Ms. Russ is Kimberly Smith.
Hi, my name is Laura Gruss. I live at 1560 Harding Road in Blacksburg. I'm the first of several speakers tonight representing a group of parents called Citizens to Save Our Schools. Other CSOS members will discuss issues in more detail, but I'd like to start by briefly outlining the main positions and goals of our group. First of all, we'd like to emphasize again that CSOS is committed to working with you for broader revenue generation so that we can close the budget gap without turning to the list of cuts, keep all MCPS schools open, which is our highest priority, and hopefully allow a salary step increase for teachers. Secondly, as parents of Harding Avenue Elementary students, we're especially focused on the suggestion to close Harding Avenue. I'd like to point out here that far from being just a building as it was sort of categorized on your slide, our school is not only a stellar educational community made of people, staff, members, and the center of our children's world, their home away from home, but also a key neighborhood anchor and an important influence on the economics of the town of Blacksburg and the county. Our group's research and analysis, which will be discussed in detail later, shows that closure of Harding should be taken off the list forever for a number of pragmatic reasons. First and foremost, it's unlikely to save money in the long run. It would lead to significant revenue losses for the county and the town, whose relationships with the school board are important, as you know, for solving our larger budget problems. It has numerous one-time and recurring costs that would result in far less money saved per year than advertised. Furthermore, due to projected increases in enrollment, especially in the Harding district, this option also presents a very high risk of requiring a new and, as you acknowledge, more expensive school to be built sooner than intended. And all parents here should be aware that far from affecting just current Harding families, closure would have a big negative impact on students across the Strand due to reshuffling, including current prices for students and eventual redistricting. Third, although we're primarily members of the Harding Avenue community, I want to re-emphasize that the priority of CSOS is to protect all MCPS schools from closure. As with Harding, closure of any neighborhood school is unlikely to save money in the long run, but will have serious long-term negative impacts. We urge you to permanently remove school closures from the list of budgetary measures. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Kimberly Smith. After Ms. Smith is Tammy Maxey. Kimberly Smith. Not seeing Ms. Smith, we'll move to the next person, and that is Tammy Maxey. And after Ms. Maxey is Sophia Midkiff.
Good evening. My name is Tammy Maxey, and I live at 2740 Georges Run Road in Shawsville. I'm a parent of a student at Shawsville Middle School. Ms. Blackburn, we spoke on the phone last May about the closings of schools, and you reassured me that this would be the last resort. I hope you still feel the same today. You also encouraged me to support tax increases so our schools could benefit. But looking back, I can't help but see wasted money in my opinion. Money that could have kept our schools open and properly staffed. But my main concern is the maturity levels between the ages of 12 to 18. It is huge, and I feel that it is not appropriate to put them in the same building. But if you choose to go forth with this, how are you going to guarantee me and the other families of Shawsville Middle School that our children will receive the same middle school experience that everyone else in the county does? And if this is truly about budget cuts, may I ask why you chose not to build Auburn High School large enough to accommodate grades 7 through 12 instead of putting more money into their existing high for their middle? It is my opinion and my belief that children deserve to be treated fairly across this county. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Sophia Midkiff. After Ms. Midkiff is Amy Phillips.
Good evening. My name is Sophia Midkiff, and I live in 6109 Auburn, Maryland, Blacksburg. I have been a member of the Gifted Advisory Committee for the past 2 years. Ever since I joined the GAC, we have been talking about one thing that trumped everything else, the budget cut. For the past 2 years, we lost 2 gifted resource teachers and half of Diane's supervisory role. We also lost the summer governor's school program. I'm here to ask you to serve the staff we have now for the gifted program. We now have 10.5 gifted resource teachers serving a population of 1,250 identified students. We're very fortunate to have so many gifted students, but they need special attention and specific challenges, sometimes individualized programs. To realize their full potential, having one teacher on average to serve 12 students is overwhelming for the teacher and frustrating for some of the students for the lack of special attention. where we are hearing from exacerbated parents who believe their children are not being taught at their ability level. Recognizing the budget realities, even though we are desperately in need of more gifted resource teachers, we are not asking for more, but please preserve the staff we have now. If we want our children and our country as a whole to be able to compete on the global stage, it is paramount that we provide the resource needed for our best and the brightest. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Amy Phillips. After Ms. Phillips is Jessica Ratcliffe.
My name is Amy Phillips. I live at 1695 Lake Drive in Christiansburg. I'm a parent of a middle school student as well as an Eastern Montgomery High School student, and I'm here to talk about the closing of Shawsville Middle School. I see the need for middle schools. There are 4 high schools in the county and each has a middle school. How is it fair and how do we justify it when we're teaching our kids history and government and allocation that it's okay to take their middle school when none of the other schools lose theirs? When, as a taxpayer who pays the same amount of personal property and real estate property as everyone else in the county, I also don't understand how my money is not allocated enough to go towards a middle school. I don't want to see any of the schools closed, and I thank you for the new schools. Eastern Montgomery is not asking, Shawsville Middle School is not asking for a new middle school or upgrades. We just want to keep the one we have. Closing the middle school will undermine the education by putting 6th graders with kindergartners and 7th graders who are anywhere from 11, 12-year-olds with 18-year-olds. And I ask this, those of you with daughters, do you want your 12-year-old daughter with an 18-year-old boy? There is no real way of separation. And it's my understanding that when we close the middle school and the school is opened, that you'll have to bring trailers in. Is that not an additional cost when we have a suitable school that is well equipped and well taken care of now? If you shut down Shawsville Middle School, you don't just alter their education, you alter the education of the elementary students that are involved, as well as the high school students. Do not let this happen. Please be fair to our students and to me as a taxpayer.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Jessica Ratcliffe. After Ms. Ratcliffe is Matt Rezdak. Go ahead.
My name is Jessica Ratcliffe, and I'm a senior currently attending Christiansburg High School and the Governor's School. I consider the Governor's School to be the best thing that could have happened to me, and I want everyone to have the same opportunity I have had. The Governor's School has allowed me to meet and interact with students from other schools. These other students are just like me in the sense that we have a common goal and drive. The Governor's School has also allowed me to experience a whole new side of education. It is a wider variety of classes that allows us to get a better look at our interests and possible career fields. Math, science, and technology are what our world revolves around now. And the Governor's School gives the students the chance to start on these things earlier in life. Getting rid of the Governor's School for Montgomery County would only hurt the students' chances of showing their full potential. The Governor's School is important because it gives the students the best possible education.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Matt Rezak. And after Mr. Rezak is Robin Lemire. Go ahead.
Matt Rezak, 1270 Cambridge Street, Christiansburg. I was hired to teach the 7th grade at Shawsville Middle School 15 years ago, and I'm one of 3 middle school full-time teachers left at the middle school that had been there since the change. I didn't really know any better at the time, but I had never heard of one school housing all students 6th through 12th grades before. I didn't really question it, but I was just happy to have been hired. But something felt odd about having to worry about giving a pass to a 7th grade student during the high schoolers' lunch period since they used the same restroom. Rumors of a new school opening at our end of the county soon got me and everybody else pretty excited. It was going to be just as great for our middle schoolers, even though we weren't getting the new school building. We were just going to have our own gym, our own greenhouse, our own computer labs, and our own school. And I wouldn't have to worry about the bathroom passes anymore during the seniors' lunch. We have since gone through great lengths to make our middle school home. I've gotten to see all the changes through growth in the community. We have our own PTA, fundraisers, dances, talent shows, and even spirit wear. I have seen the middle school philosophy develop, which would certainly be threatened if a move were to be made. All of the aforementioned certainly describe an emotional connection to my school and why I would like to keep it, but there's one true fact that I still don't understand: why a middle school education in a middle school environment be what's best for 3 strands of the county and not 1. Middle school is important for Blacksburg, Christiansburg, and Reiner, and middle school is important for Shawsville.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Robin Lemire, and after Ms. Lemire is Susan Marmagaz.
Hi, I'm Robin Lemire. I live at 204 Hearthstone Drive in Blacksburg. I am new to the community. We just moved here in the summer. I have 2 daughters at Harding, and what brought me to Blacksburg is Virginia Tech. My field is public management, and so therefore I'd like to comment on the process for these decisions, just like the first speaker did. I don't have any solutions to propose. I've looked at all the material available to us, but what concerns me is the kind of double entry accounting process that's being used here, that's looking at the cuts. And I just wonder about the long-term strategy. To me, leadership is made in times of crisis. Leaders don't look at a crisis as how do we fix this, but as an opportunity to really improve, make our changes and improve. The short time I've been at Harding, I've been impressed with not only the performance of the school, but the community as well. Not just the community that Harding itself has, but its connection to Virginia Tech, its connections to Blacksburg. And so therefore, I just hope that in making these decisions, that the goal is to look at the long-term costs, the long-term strategy, and how do we make decisions about the cost in a way that doesn't undermine the performance and can actually improve the system in the long term so that we don't end up here year and year again. Sorry, I didn't notice the light. Okay. Just what I hope to see is that in making a difficult decision, that we also think about the implementation and how we can minimize the impact on performance and the impact on the communities of these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Susan Marmagast. After Ms. Marmagast is Eric Minter.
My name is Susan Marmagast. I live at 305 Rucker Road in Blacksburg. My oldest daughter is a first grader at Harding Avenue, and my little daughter is going to be there in 2 years. I'm part of this emerging group of parents that has formed Citizens to Save Our Schools to look at the whole county. From our conversations thus far, it's my understanding that the Board of Supervisors may well have revenue to cover a good portion of the budget gap this year. We encourage you as a school board to work with the board, as I know you do a lot, to secure these additional funds, which buys us time in this county to make longer-term plans and to avoid all of these closures and all of these cuts and to begin to find resources for our precious teachers. I'd like to propose that we work really hard this year to cut this deficit so that we can buy ourselves time with our state delegation and with our Board of Supervisors. I also want to speak to the issue of neighborhood schools. We know that nationwide, I can't read this, okay, that this is a bad economic and public health decision. I was reminded of this last week as I chaired the board of the American Public Health Association, how many communities around this country are reversing their trend of big box consolidation for years because they're now seeing that significant impact. And I would like to say, let's not even go down this road in Montgomery County. Let's not even go there because we know it's bad. These are not just buildings, these are actually people. And all of those cuts are actually staff in those buildings. So they are about people. And the last thing I just want to say is that we're committed to working with you, and a number of the speakers to come have specific ideas of cost-saving measures that are positive and proactive, not negative, and won't have impact on our schools. Thank you for holding this event tonight.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Eric Minter, and then Heather Cox.
Hello, I'm Erica Meitner and I reside at 413 Red Maple Drive, Blacksburg, Virginia. My son is a kindergartner at Harding Avenue Elementary. He loves his school and we love it too. My husband and I accepted academic jobs at Virginia Tech, in large part because of the exceptional public schools here. I believe in public schools and their ability to educate our kids. As a former New York City public school teacher, I believe deeply in neighborhood schools. This is why I was disappointed to see that the budget website puts Harding at risk for closing again. I'm referring to the line item which says move HAE to new PFE. How will you guys accommodate future growth in the system that's been projected by your own studies if you close schools? I understand the severity of the budget shortfall, but closing a much lauded, excellent neighborhood school, one of the highest performing elementary schools in the county, that's received the Governor's Virginia Index of Performance Award for Educational Excellence for the past 5 years, seems very short-sighted. I want to know that the school board has fully considered unintended consequences. Multiple studies indicate that closing neighborhood schools, elementary schools, make property values in specific neighborhoods fall by 10%. This would ultimately lead to decreased revenue for the county in the long run and less funding for schools. What's important to me as a parent and educator is making sure we keep our neighborhood schools open and that our teachers are fairly compensated. Our schools are only as good as our teachers. My husband and I went to multiple county board meetings to support the property tax increase. We will continue to petition our local and state officials on behalf of the entire school system for more funding. We will also support any future tax increases. I implore you to take school closures off the table. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Heather Cox. After Ms. Cox is Jennifer Jen.
Hi, I'm Heather Cox, 1006 Morning Dove Drive, Blacksburg, Virginia. I have twin second graders at Harding Avenue and I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you tonight. I was very pleased to hear Superintendent Blackbird state at the October 16th school board meeting that although school closures are on the proposed list, they have not been recommended. So I am formally requesting that you take closing Harding Avenue Elementary off the proposed budget savings list permanently. You've heard from other speakers about closing schools tonight, and I second those comments. My priority during the budget planning process is equality. Similar to other speakers, I want a balanced, well-evaluated approach that is equitable across the district and that does not burden one specific community more than others. I want the budget deficit to go away, but it's not going to. And so millions of dollars will not be made up by small changes or one school closure, especially since 88.5% of expenditures are on personnel and benefits. However, I do have a few suggestions. Is it possible for the public and employees to put on a strong lobby for access to state health insurance plans for these employees? Or is there a GPO, group purchasing organization, that we could join for that and our other purchases? These are costs that keep going up every year, and it's something that if our community can help in that category, I'd really like to do that. Have we sold places on our properties for advertising purposes? Have we done an energy audit for permanent cost savings? So for example, if we decrease the temperature in schools by 1 or 2 degrees in the winter or increase them by 1 or 2 degrees in the summer, is that going to save us money? Are we saving where we can for technology? Have we surveyed teachers and staff for cost-saving ideas? Have we used the full resources of our retired teachers? Can they serve as substitutes and volunteers? Are they required to do service days post-retirement? Have you considered changing the 2 early release days to 1 non-student day per month for the elementary schools so that eliminates 1 entire bus day a month? These are just some of my suggestions. I've sent you others. I'd be happy to work with you. And again, I plan to talk to my
Your time is up. Thank you very much. Next person signed up is Jennifer Jen.
I'm not Jennifer Jen, it's my wife.
Okay.
On behalf. My name is Peter Sekelke. I live at 2168 Harding Road. I have 1 daughter in Harding Avenue Elementary and 2 that will hopefully be there in a few years. I want to reiterate what Heather just said. I completely agree. There were a lot of studies that were supposed to be made or in the process of being made on the last list. I don't see them anywhere on here. I would love to know how we can get more engaged other than just throwing ideas out. I know that there's a health insurance group. Is that something that, you know, some of the members in our community can be more involved in? Was there a time that we could have signed up that maybe some of us missed? I think there's a lot of good proactive avenues that we can take. I think we've got a lot of smart people in this community, and it would be great if we could find ways to get them more involved in a much more profound way. In addition, I wanted to make sure that when you guys are making decisions, use all the facts. Don't make an emotional decision. I know that's really hard. I know everybody has areas they're passionate about. I'm passionate about Harding Avenue Elementary, but when everything's said and done, it really is your duty to make good, rational decisions based on the facts. Also, I'd like to say that I hope a lot of efforts put into how these decisions are different and make real efforts to look at some of these issues and look at the ones that have profound, irreversible effects, and let's maybe not make those, or let's maybe try to find ways to minimize those. I think some of these things we've talked about will have irreversible effects. You know, when you outsource staffing to third-party companies, you might never be able to bring it back. When you get rid of schools, I don't think you're going to be able to bring them back. You know, that was brought up that we could move them back. I don't think that's the case. And that's something that's going to affect this community for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Sydney Fain, and then Jenny Lowe.
Good evening. I'm Sydney Fain, a junior at Auburn High School. I'm an active leader in athletics, academics, and fine arts, and at the top of my class. But thanks to the support of Montgomery County Public Schools, I am also a junior at the Southwest Virginia Governor's School for Science and Technology. With the support from MCPS, I have taken responsibility of my education and therefore my future. I have excelled at the Governor's School and have been immensely supported by the faculty. The Governor's School has also offered me further opportunities to excel and realize my full potential and have given me a stronger faith in my future. Though 3 months ago I would have questioned the possibility, I am currently conducting research alongside graduate students at Virginia Tech. Last year, MCPS funding for Governor's School delegates was questioned, which jeopardized the education of a motivated student seeking to address the limitations of a smaller school. As an athlete and supporter of the arts, I realize there is no ideal place to make budget cuts. However, supporting the communities and nation's future leaders, including myself and my peers, should be of the utmost priority. Any student willing to take charge of their education as I have and put forth the additional effort to make the most of their education in Montgomery County should have the opportunity. Budget cuts should bear no hindrance to the fulfillment of MCPS's mission statement as a community of excellence that develops each student's potential to become a lifelong learner. The Governor's School provides an environment in which motivated and capable students can thrive, realize potential, and develop a desire to learn. And because Montgomery County Public Schools exist to prepare students to become productive global citizens, also from the mission statement, the Governor's School is far from supplementary and should be offered as an opportunity not only for the development of proficient students, but for the advancement of Montgomery County Public Schools as a whole. Thank you for your consideration of the longevity of the Governor's School, an asset to the education of future leaders of our community and our nation.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Jenny Lowe. After Ms. Lowe is Vicki Kitts.
Hi, my name is Jenny Lowe, and I live at 804 Graceland Court in Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm the mother of 2 children who attend school in the county. I think providing quality education to our children should be one of our county's highest priorities. I was fortunate to grow up in a community that valued education. High-quality instruction, enthusiastic teachers, extracurricular activities, parental support, and community involvement helped me become the person I am today. My K-12 educational upbringing gave me many things. Some of these include basic skills in critical thinking, aspirations to attend college, preparation for university-level work, the motivation and foundation for a successful career, a strong work ethic, and a desire to help our community. I was lucky to have the support and opportunities to help me become a productive member of society. As a parent and active PTO member, I've had the honor of interacting with other parents, administrators, staff, and teachers. We all share a common goal, to give students the best experience possible, and we need resources to do this. Our community and our school board have a difficult task ahead of them. The need for a balanced budget will mean decisions that won't be popular with everyone. I would like the county to explore ways to increase revenue instead of continuing to reduce staff or services. This is an instance where you get what you pay for. Let's get more people to contact our legislators. They need to know that funding education is important to us. Let's allow for advertisements on websites, publications, etc. Let's set up mechanisms that will allow us to encourage former students to donate to their alma mater. And let's raise taxes. I am willing to pay more taxes if it means kids will have opportunities to reach their full potential and to become productive members of society. What we do today has consequences for our children and for ourselves. We want America to remain one of the greatest countries to live in. To do this, we need to invest in our future. There is no do-over in a child's education. What we teach our children today creates the foundation for learning tomorrow and impacts our entire society. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Vicki Kitts. After Ms. Kitts is Steve Trost.
My name is Vicki Kitts, and I'm a gifted resource teacher at Charlottesville Middle School and Eastern Montgomery High School, and I'm also assigned to Christiansburg Middle School on Fridays. I appreciate the opportunity to work in these great schools with wonderful teachers, and I'm fortunate to be able to work with students on a middle school level and travel with them to assist with their high school experience as well. We're nearly 13 years into the 21st century, and we're faced with the challenge of teaching these skills necessary for our students to be successful and competitive in this world. Part of our work is to ensure that students have the opportunity to develop the skills of problem solving, communication, collaboration, and creativity. And also, as we've heard tonight, special programs are crucial to the development of students with this potential, and for all students. We hope the board will continue to support those special programs such as the Governor's School and summer residential Governor's School programs, because these have made it possible for our students to learn on a level that's appropriate for their readiness and skill levels. I'm also asking to consider maintaining the staff and the good teachers that we have that are needed to provide these services for our students. And for students that show potential, that need differentiated lessons and special programs, this is an opportunity for all teachers to work with them. Last year, I think we already heard it mentioned, there were 2.5 teachers cut. So we're hoping to maintain what we have, and so we can continue our work with the students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Steve Trost. After Mr. Trost is Mark Chewbacca. Go ahead.
My name is Steve Trost. I live at 413 Maple Drive, and I will keep this brief because I think most of the other Harding parents have said a lot of things that I want to say tonight, but my son is in kindergarten at Harding Elementary, and one thing I really want to stress that is important to me is the neighborhood school. And the idea of a neighborhood school is central to the community, it's central to maintaining a sense of community, to maintain property values in the area, and I think it's very important to really keep that in mind when deciding whether or not to keep schools. I'm an economics professor, and I've been kind of evaluating this whole thing from an economic standpoint, trying to figure out if there are any things to think about, if there are any more ways to cut costs. And I don't have any easy solutions, obviously, but one thing that I encourage you to think about is the long-term effects. And closing a school in a district that is growing, closing any school, not just Harding, any school in an area that's been growing historically and will continue to grow, is obviously something that is not in the long-term interest of the district. So I encourage you to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Mark Chewbacca, and after Mr. Chewbacca is Marina Norzawak. I hope I said that correctly. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Mark Chewbacca, 817 Montgomery Street. I'm also president of Citizens First. Tonight I'd like to speak on behalf of the Executive Committee of Citizens First. Citizens First is a grassroots organization that seeks to promote good governance and citizen involvement in Blacksburg and the county. In the last election, we endorsed school board and supervisor candidates who supported funding for our schools. We've educated the public and spoke out in favor of the 12-cent tax increase. This year, we've been involved again. Basically, I'm trying to say we're on your side on this. Last month, in a unanimous vote, we passed a resolution stating Citizens First supports keeping all neighborhood schools open. This resolution comes from two understandings. One is a deep understanding of the importance of neighborhood schools to their immediate and wider communities. In Blacksburg, the neighborhood schools are so important that they're written into as neighborhood anchors to the comp plan. Losing Harding, for example, for even a few years will set back the regentrification of several neighborhoods and have a negative consequence to other neighborhoods and to the town as a whole. Second is the growing understanding that closing a neighborhood school in our county is likely to make the budget problem worse for everybody in following years. The Blacksburg and Christiansburg Strand are both growing rapidly. Closing a school permanently will soon probably lead to redistricting and more capital expenses down the road that are going to wipe out any savings and decimate the budget down the road. Closing one temporarily will lead to multiple expensive moves, facility management that will eat into the savings, and it's going to still create a risk that that building is going to be lost permanently. Finally, we can't ignore the hard research that's been pointed out tonight and other times that points to less revenue and less revenue growth for the county and for the town of Blacksburg. We need the county and other local governments to work with us to help us solve our problems. This is more than just an issue of buildings, this is a good governance issue and figuring out how we can all work together to solve this. I encourage you, as others did, to take this option off the table. It's going to damage and already damaging our
Your time is up. Thank you. The next person to speak is Marina Norwitzki.
Rowski.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Marina Rowski, and I live at 2110 Gate Road. I'm a senior at Christiansburg High School as well as the Southwest Virginia Governor's School. I'm here on behalf of the proposed budget cuts of the Governor's School. My dad is an accountant, so I'm well aware of the seriousness of budget cuts because my family often lives, eats, and sleeps them. However, everyone in this room and in the world has something to bring to the table, a special gift. Joey and Gabe are two Christiansburg High School students who play for the football team. They live and love sports. My classmate Bryony is at home on the stage and flourishes under the spotlight. Caleb, Leah, Luke, and Jessica Watson, the winners of the Sheeler Talent Show, have such a passion for music that they're considering going to college for it. Everyone loves and has a passion for something. Now I have two left feet. I'm terrified of being on the spotlight and restrict my singing to my shower for the benefit of mankind. However, I love learning. I think it's amazing how a single error in RNA can change a person. I think it's amazing that your body can respond to a stimulus without even contacting your brain. Math and science are something I love and want to spend the rest of my life doing. I wouldn't have realized this without the Southwest Virginia Governor's School and the math, science, and technology classes it offers, as well as the research project that I not only plan to continue this year, as well as my undergraduate years in college. In closing, I think we've all seen gardens. This beauty and the diversity from the roses, the tulips, the lilacs, and the daisies. Together they're beautiful. However, you can't expect all of these flowers to flourish if you only water one of them. Montgomery County schools are the same way. We excel all over the board. But you can't expect this to continue unless you keep your faith and money invested in all the different programs. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Jim O'Dowd. After Mr. O'Dowd is Jordan EQ. I'm not sure about the last name.
Hello, my name is Jim O'Dowd and I live at 2431 Mount Tabor Road in Blacksburg. I'm a Harding parent and member of Citizens to Save Our Schools. 2 weeks ago I sent both your board and the Board of Supervisors a paper that describes some of the long-term implications of school closure on property values, resultant tax revenue, future school enrollment and transportation. Of the Blacksburg elementary schools, Harding has the largest projected percentage increase in students over the next 10 years in the Strand. The Blacksburg Strand will be at capacity by 2016 if Harding is closed. It has been said that a school is only a building. While that may be true in one sense, in another, the studies cited suggest that the location of this building within an established community has an enormous impact on property values. Closing Harding Avenue would have a detrimental impact on property values and result in tax revenue in the amount of $853,000. While the figures presented on property value reductions may be hypothetical, and it has also been said that the closing of any school may not be permanent even if it does occur, there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty in the community at the present time due to the inclusion of school closing in the list of options. Such uncertainty is detrimental to potential investors and developers, as well as current residents. It would be in the best interest of the county if school closure was taken off the table as a cost-saving measure. I recall that Superintendent Blackburn was quoted saying there was no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow in a Roanoke Times article a few months ago. As I am an Irishman, and probably the most likely proponent of leprechaun economics in Montgomery County, I was encouraged by the recent statements by several supervisors regarding the allocation of one-time funds to education this coming year. It appears there may be a small pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and I hope we can all work together so that short-term decisions will not be made that will adversely affect the county over the long term. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Jordan EQ, and then Brady Tickle. And with Mr. O'Dowd, that was speaker number 30, and we have a total of 52 signed up, just to give you an idea of where we're at in our processes here.
My name is Jordan Kuhn, and I live at 770 Tower Road here in Christiansburg. I'm a junior currently enrolled at both Christiansburg High School and Southwestern Virginia Governor's School. The school board wisely voted last year to continue the opportunity to send students to Governor's School, and I applaud you for that. That gave me the opportunity I needed to go there this year, where I've received many benefits. The Governor's School is made up of a bunch of students who are all motivated. We all want to learn, and we all like learning. And what that enables is that enables each of the teachers to move at a more rapid pace and to connect to the students, because we all want to learn and we all appreciate education. The Southwestern Virginia Governor's School offers many opportunities for each of the students that attends. The International Science and Engineering Fair gives $4 million away to high school students every year. And at the Governor's School, the teachers walk each student through the process to come up with a good research plan and implement that. I'm working right now on a science fair project that I probably never would have started if it weren't for Governor's School and the opportunities and the teachers that have helped me through that. The internship offered in the junior year of the Governor's School also gives real-world experience to each student. I'm going to be working in engineering with either a professor from Tech or another business around here. And I think that those opportunities to work in real world with real people and see how the real world works is a great opportunity for students. I could go on and on about the list of benefits for every Governor's School student, just like me, but I feel like as education is a priority for the board and for you guys, that you should continue the experiences that I've been offered for the juniors and seniors that will rise in the future to take my place, because they deserve that. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Brady Tickle, and then Lewis Carr.
Hi there. My name is Brady Tickle. I reside at 3701 Eaglebrook Road here in Christiansburg. I am both a junior here at Christiansburg High School and a student at the Southwest Virginia Governor's School. The Governor's School has provided me with a great opportunity to learn challenging material in science and mathematics courses that aren't provided as in-depth at this school. I get to learn side by side with students that actually want to learn the topics that they are being tested on. Learning with other motivated students helps me to try and be the best that I can be when it comes to my education. The Governor's School has provided me with an educational experience that I can't get at a regular high school. I'm learning things every day that can help me both in college and in future careers. Eliminating the Governor's School opportunity for students takes away our incentive to really learn. Considering the hard work that my colleagues and I put into getting accepted into the Governor's School, it almost seems like we're being punished for our success when you threaten to take this program away. It's truly not fair to deny this program to those who want to participate in it. The school board's primary concern should be to determine the best way to give every student the best education that they can receive. That's one reason why I think that the pay-to-play initiative is an excellent idea. Our budget shouldn't be focused on overpaying for sports. What's more important for schools? Education or pouring money into watching students throw a ball around? One last proposal that I support is the elimination of ISS staffing. Why do we even have ISS? It's a texting vacation for misbehaving students, not an actual punishment. If you're not going to willingly participate in the classroom, then you don't deserve to be at school. Education should be considered a privilege, not a right. In conclusion, please don't cut the Governor's School program. It helps many students to thrive and go places that they never thought possible within their education. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Lewis Carr, then Marjorie Mullins.
Lewis Carr. I live at Carr Circle in Charlottesville. Just wanted to speak to the variety of things that have been mentioned here tonight, from the various programs that are involved with our schools, from all the schools as a whole, for all the individuals involved, citizen groups that have already been formed to try to save our schools in a variety of areas in which they belong. Community schools are the heartbeat of every community in which they serve. Doesn't matter if they're in Blacksburg, Christiansburg, Reiner, Charlottesville, Elliston, whatever part of the county. The important circumstance involved, number one, and everyone has spoken around it, but they haven't said it directly, is student safety. Right after that, student education, staff safety, staff education, and everything else that falls in line to go along with it. The safety issues involved with closing schools creates a system of confusion among parents, staff, and more particularly, the students themselves. So as we address the various issues in front of us, we need to remember both budget constraints, budget concerns, but number one, student safety, education, staff safety, and everyone involved who goes along with those issues as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Marjorie Mullins, then Susan Bailey.
Hi, I'm Marjorie Mullins.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I live at 220 Citrine Court in Christiansburg, Virginia. Thank you for hearing us tonight. I actually want to speak for teachers. Teachers are worn out. More and more is expected of us every day, every year, between faculty meetings and volunteer activities and recertification classes, which are great, and we need that to improve our profession. And there's so many of us that are working 2 and 3 jobs. We have single teachers on our faculty that have 2 and 3 jobs outside of school, and they're exhausted. Those of us that have young children, I mean, we have commitments with our children after school that we miss because we are doing other things outside of our contract time and still not getting paid with the cost of living. We have homeowners insurance due right now. We have car insurance due for 2 cars, my husband and I. I actually make more money than he does. And it's a real difficult time of year for us. We have our state taxes and our federal taxes, and it's a rough time for us. We have our kids' lunches to pay. We don't get free or reduced lunch. We have Christmas gifts to buy. I mean, teachers work really, really hard, and things are being taken away, and we're having to do more. And I would just like to be able to go to work and not have to stress out about paying my bills. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Susan Bailey. After Ms. Bailey is Sarah Hammond.
Good evening. My name is Susan Bailey and I live at 908 Mason Drive in Blacksburg. I am a mother of a 2nd grader who attends Harding Avenue Elementary and a son who will be entering kindergarten there next fall. I am also a former teacher with 9 years of teaching experience, 5 of which were completed at Kipps Elementary School. I am here tonight to express my gratitude for your service to our district. Each of you made a choice to stand up for all of the children of Montgomery County and to lay the framework to provide them the best education possible. By making this choice, you agreed to make the tough decisions. We live in a challenging time, and although there are areas in our country and world that are facing far more trying circumstances, we have a problem here in this district that needs each of you to come together to solve. I encourage you to work with the Board of Supervisors to find additional funding to meet our budgetary needs. I ask you to consider alternative funding where you have the ability to get creative. For example, are there areas in the budget where private funding could provide assistance by thinking outside the budget box? I also encourage you not to think solely about the next budget year, but to consider future years as well. While closing a school may provide some immediate relief, there will be hidden costs. It is also not something that is easily reversed. It simply does not make economic sense to realize an immediate savings of a couple $100,000 that will most likely cost much more in the long run. Make decisions that may be short-term, but are not short-sighted. The entire New River Valley is a terrific place to live and raise children. Let's keep it that way by working together, looking out for each other, and standing up for our future leaders. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Sarah Hammond, then Terry Sononis.
Hello, thanks for taking our comments. I'm Sarah Hammond and I reside at 612 Montgomery Street with my kindergartner who attends Harding Avenue Elementary. My priority here is to keep our neighborhood schools open. and I'm in favor of increasing tax revenue in order to do that. Harding Avenue Elementary is a 5-year recipient of the Governor's Award for Educational Excellence, one of the few in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and one of the reasons why I dragged my son to Blacksburg in the first place. As you all are making your difficult decisions, I feel like the most important test should be, is this in the best interest of our kids? And closing our excellent schools doesn't pass this test. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Terry Sinonis, and then Aaron Bull.
Hi, I'm Terry Simonis, and I live at 1075 Gobblersburg, Christiansburg. I would like to speak in advocation for gifted education and specifically the Southwest Virginia Governor's School. I will begin by giving a brief introduction of myself and why I'm an activist of this program. I'm currently a junior at Virginia Tech and a graduate of Christiansburg High School as a salutatorian in the year 2010, as well as a graduate of Southwest Virginia Governor's School. I was involved in gifted education and starting in the 4th grade and has molded me to the person who I am today. I would like to give 3 points in why gifted education in the Governor's School has made a major impact on my life. First of all, college credit and college experience before college. I entered Virginia Tech my freshman year with 58 credits before I even started college. This allowed me to have a lot more flexibility in college with my classes, as well as being able to maintain my part-time job. Many people think that these classes may be available within the local high school. However, this is not available to this extent. Not only did I just receive these credits, I got an enormous advantage in preparing for college. The Governor's School class size is smaller in order to get special attention from very willing and extraordinary knowledgeable professors in their subjects who knew how to cater to their needs. One day a week, a lab is held for science classes which reinforces classroom knowledge and gives preparation for these rigorous labs at the university level. Second of all, is special programs and enrichment. The Governor's School is much more than just a school. Most of all, it's enjoyable, and example is an internship program. This allows all junior students to pick an internship of their choosing to help determine a potential career path. This had a huge impact on my life. I always thought I wanted to be a teacher. However, when I did my internship, I realized it may not have been the best career path for me. But I did realize that I had a stronger urge for healthcare. With this opportunity, I may have not made this insight. Another important part of gifted education, not just in the Governor's School, is the use of modern technology and state-of-the-art systems.
Your time is up. Thank you. Next person signed up is Aaron Bull, then Jeff Bird.
Good evening, Ms. Blackburn, Chairman Jones, and members of the board. My name is Aaron Bull. I live at 2703 Chelsea Court in Blacksburg, and I'm a teacher at Christiansburg Elementary School. Tonight I came to speak with you on behalf of maintaining our current, fully funded single subscriber insurance. This insurance is a benefit to employees that should be maintained, and these benefits also help recruit and retain qualified teachers, and as we all know, qualified teachers are the key to student achievement. Currently, all full-time employees are part of the insurance pool. This means we have a healthy, balanced group. New employees enter into the profession that balances out others who have previous or ongoing health issues. This helps keep our usage rates stable. In the past several years, our insurance increases have been less than the average increases at state and federal levels. In Pulaski County, a cap has been imposed on insurance costs paid by their school board. Now in Pulaski, a single employee pays $220 per month for just their own single subscriber insurance. After having salaries frozen for the last 4 years, Montgomery County employees cannot afford to pay these additional monies for health insurance. One of the proposals on the list is a 4% salary increase. And while salary increases are well deserved, if salary increases happen at the expense of single subscriber insurance, employees will come out the loser. For the average teacher, the salary increase would be less than $150 a month before taxes. Even if there would be a short-term gain, there'd be a long-term loss. Maintaining insurance is the right thing to do. It serves as a tool to retain teachers and attracts teachers from surrounding counties. In the 6 years I've served in the insurance committee, employees have been willing to increase co-pays and change tiers of coverage to maintain their insurance. Recently, I surveyed members of my building about single subscriber insurance, It was their top priority. I ask that it be your top priority as well.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Jeff Bird. After Mr. Bird is Mike Griggs.
My name is Jeff Bird, 1040 New Village Drive, Christiansburg, Virginia. You asked me for my educational priorities that you need to look at, and those are Joshua, Benjamin, and Sydney Bird. And that's the top priority for me. Now, I'm speaking out against school closures, specifically Bellevue Elementary, but also the same thing can be said for Harding Avenue or Shawsville or any other school. The state of Virginia has put into place an accountability system called the SOLs, which we don't like to talk about, but they are becoming more rigorous. And that's how you, as a school system, are evaluated. AYP, NCLB is all in the past now. Now you're dealing with annual measurable objectives, AMOs. And you need to know what those are. You need to be able to show student growth, which I like as a parent. I need to be able to see how my child is growing, and the worst thing you can do to student growth is to start to close schools. My children are in a small school, and they are getting the best learning and education that they can at Bellevue. And I know, like I said, the same thing's true for any of the other schools. The teachers care, and I realize that. But the last thing you need to do is drop my students down to nothing more than a student number that looks better on paper to move them to some other school where they're not getting the same education that they would in a bigger environment than they would in a smaller class-sized environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Mike Griggs.
Yes, that's correct. Mike Griggs at 602 Kelly Lane in Blacksburg, Virginia. And I'm here tonight in support of keeping Harding open, but more importantly, I'm here to encourage you guys, the board, to reach out to the county, to your peers and your elected officials, to challenge them to get the revenue that you need for the schools in this county. And it hasn't been said tonight, but Montgomery County funds locally the school district. I think the proposal is $4,400 per student next year, and the state average is above $5,000. So the Montgomery County is currently 20% below average in locally funding the school district, which is, to me, is unacceptable, especially when we have these budget considerations. So I just urge you to spend the same amount of time engaging the public with this 5-cent tax increase to cover the deficit, or maybe a 10-cent tax increase. I know that the parents here, the grandparents of all the children in the district would support that measure so that you could have the funding necessary for all these governor schools children, as well as the athletes and all the other programs as part of the school district. So I'm here in support of a tax increase, and I encourage you to engage with the community to make it obvious to everyone how underfunded the school district is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Bruce Kemp. After Mr. Kemp is Gary Creed.
Hi, my name is Bruce Kemp. My address is 3832 Floyd Highway North, Floyd, Virginia. I've lived in this area since 1989 in the environs of Blacksburg and Christiansburg. Thank you to the school board. You're doing a fantastic job. You're hoeing it's a rough, tough road to hoe in the best of circumstances. Thank you to you guys. You are doing sacrificial giving. Thank you to you teachers. I'm a teacher in this very school. We're doing sacrificial living. We've done without raises. We're not complaining about it. Nobody's talking about jumping ship. Nobody is talking about quitting what we do. I want to say several things. First of all, the feds are not our sugar daddy. Nobody has mentioned that we are going to endure something like $2,000 to $4,000 of tax increases per family next year. Secondly, one thing that jumps off these papers at me is that the state giving to us is the big problem. $10 million. Let's talk about that. The people in this room are the most dedicated people I've seen in a long time, both the parents and the teachers. So I want to address three things. First of all, taxes are going up at the federal level, but we're getting less out of them. Second, the state has drastically decreased their funding to us, which is the biggest part of the problem before us today. People here also, number three, are more than willing to give more. But when they say the buck stops here, we don't have it to absorb. And we just are trying to do the best we can.
Mr. Kemp, your time is up. Thank you very much. The next person signed up is Gary Creed. After Mr. Creed is Jenny Lowe.
Good evening, Mr. Blackburn, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I appreciate you being here, allowing us to speak. I am not speaking as a Board of Supervisors member. I am speaking as a citizen who believes in fairness. And I'll read you a little bit of what I had sent to our administrator this week, because I had been informed of some things. And it says, I wanted to know about SMS and not having a middle school in Eastern Montgomery. If all schools in Montgomery County have to go without a middle school, then Eastern Montgomery should also be expected to do without a middle school. However, unless the well-to-do schools of Blacksburg do without, then the less fortunate schools of Eastern Montgomery should not be asked to do without. This has nothing to do with the budget, the school board, but with fairness to every student in the county. I ask nothing more than to have all students be treated fairly, whether rich or poor. Just 4 short years ago, the 2 elementary schools of Elliston and Shawsville decided to do the right thing and merge into one school. We did this on our own. What you are thinking of doing in Blacksburg, some people will not like it, but that's what the state is forcing us to do. I ask that you not punish Shawsville Elementary School just because their parents' income is not as high as some of the parents in Blacksburg. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Fair is fair, but most of all, taking advantage of less fortunate children.
Thank you very much for your time. The next person signed up is Jenny Lowe. The next person after this is, bear with me, Casey Hodge. Hodge.
Hello, my name is Casey Hodges and I live at 1223 Village Way South, and I have 2 children in the Montgomery County School System. As you know, when a tree grows, each year a ring is left behind representing that year's growth. While our children do not have growth rings, what they learn in a school year is the only chance they have to experience that year. My children are both in the gifted program and need differentiation and opportunity to grow and learn. It should be the school system's job to provide every child the largest learning ring they can achieve. We cannot make further cuts to our people and programs, as they are already suffering from the cuts of the past years, and my children are suffering as well. They need to grow. I understand that you don't want to cut people or programs and have your hands tied. I don't know the answer, but I do applaud you for trying to find a solution. I'm also appreciative that you took outsourcing off the table, as I did not feel that was a good option. I personally have written to our Senate members and my House representative, as well as the State Board of Education. I even spoke at the board's public hearing last month in Pulaski. I suggested that since we have so many students in Montgomery County Public Schools as a result of Virginia Tech being within our county, yet we cannot tax the university, the state should provide us more money to compensate and help educate children of state employees. I do not know the laws behind a school system raising money or how the interaction with state agencies work. Can we ask the state to tell Virginia Tech to pay meals taxes to the county? Can we add a hotel tax to the local hotels to pay back the county when people come to visit the university? Can we add Montgomery County public school employees to state health care plans that are prevalent in the county? Certainly, if the presidential candidates can raise billions of dollars in this economy to run a campaign, we can find money to educate our kids. If all else fails, I am willing to say, raise my taxes and pay for my children's education. Money comes and goes, but my kids do not have a chance to complete 5th and 7th grades over again. We must educate them now. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Kelly King. After Ms. King is Bob Edmondson. If the next speaker wants to move down to the podium, you're more than welcome to, as I call out the next speaker. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kelly King, and I reside at 90 Alexander Court in Christiansburg. I am a very proud parent of 3 beautiful children, one of which is at the 7th grade at CMS, one who is at Bellevue Elementary School in 3rd grade, and one who is in kindergarten at Bellevue Elementary School. I'm here on behalf of all the school closures and on behalf of Bellevue. I cannot describe how satisfied I am with the school, faculty, and staff. Every teacher knows each student, their parents, and their siblings. This entire Bellevue community is a tight-knit group who care about the students and their school. My children have excelled academically in each grade across several different teachers. Bellevue Elementary has won numerous state and national awards, and the teachers have been honored and recognized by the county and state. There is personal pride at Bellevue Elementary School, whether it's student, faculty, alumni, or parent. Bellevue and its students have always been a Christiansburg Strand school, and understand that difficult decisions do have to be made, but I cannot comprehend a logical reason to close Bellevue Elementary School. Busing students to other schools would just increase transportation costs, guaranteed longer travel time. Also, per the 2012 redistricting report a few years ago, another Christiansburg Strand Elementary School will be necessary to keep up with the Christiansburg population's growth. It makes no sense to close one Christiansburg Elementary School when your studies have already publicized that these schools are at capacity and will soon need another facility. Something has gone very wrong with Montgomery County regarding school construction, upkeep, and funding, but something is going very right at Bellevue Elementary School. Please let it continue. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Bob Edmondson, I believe, and the next person after that is Gang Lynn.
Yes, my name is Bob Edmondson. I live at 3505 Cameo Lane in Blacksburg. I have a 4th grader at Harding Avenue, and he loves it there, and we love that he's there. I just want to bring up 3 points when we talk about the budgeting process. First, to me, it seems like all funding priorities should be focused on the classroom, and all other considerations should be secondary. That means that if academics must have a priority over athletics, if pay for play preserves the governor's school, implement pay for play. If closing a building or a school and dispersing those kids to other places around the county is going to impact their performance in the school system, then closing that school should be an absolute last resort. My second point is there are cost savings to be had, and those cost savings should be looked at even if you think it's going to irritate an employee constituency. And I'm talking about outsourcing. If outsourcing the items that you've looked at saves enough money that we can restore academic programs, then by all means, you must outsource. Your obligation is to the education of the students. And if outsourcing will allow you to increase that, then you should do that. Finally, leadership. Tell us what your priorities are, and be prepared, parents, to go to your delegates and your senators and tell them what you need and that you will support the things that need to be done in order to fully fund Montgomery County. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Gang Lynn. And after that is Kimberly Homer. Okay. Next person signed up is Kimberly Homer.
I'm Kimberly Homer. I live at 222 Price Street in Blacksburg. I have 5 daughters who've gone to school in Montgomery County. 4 of them have attended Harding Avenue. All of them could walk or bike to school until 2009. My youngest daughter, Gwyneth, loves biking so much that she biked to the Christiansburg campus of Blacksburg Middle School through Ellet Valley. And she loved that campus, the big windows and the tall trees and the library nearby and the community that they built there. I mean, they didn't mean to be there, but they really loved it. Now Gwyneth's a freshman at Blacksburg High School, and she doesn't bike to school anymore because it's too dangerous. Prices Fork Road is the busiest road in Montgomery County besides I-81 South. Opening the new high school there is going to make it even worse. Gwyneth does not care about smart boards. She doesn't care about the stadium. She just wants to be able to stay after school and ask Miss Del Percio for help with her algebra. And she can't because, you know, she has no transport. She can't get there herself. She can't stay after school. She has no ride home. When kids can't walk or bike to school, they're left out. And I encourage you to think about all the kids that don't have moms that can just pick them up and take them to whatever activity. And there are a lot of kids that are like that. When we abandon our walkable schools, we abandon our neighborhoods. And so I would encourage you to raise taxes on commercial real estate or vacant real estate. How about that? But please don't close our neighborhood schools.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Dan Eaton and then Karen Hager.
Hi, I'm Diane Eaton. I live at 720 School Lane, Christiansburg. I appreciate the time to talk to you tonight. These guys are such a hard act to follow. I ditched my script back there because really what I want to say is that what we know about kids is that for them to achieve, they have to come to school. And what keeps a lot of kids coming to school is athletics and music and the arts and the governor's school and anything that they can connect to. So I urge you not to do anything that affects kids directly and keeps them motivated and keeps them in school. And because I know that our commitment is to them and their commitment is to graduate, and we want that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is Karen Hager. After Ms. Hager is Chris Jordan.
Hi, I'm Karen Hager. I'm at 607 Lucas Drive, and I'm a parent of a Harding Avenue second grader, and I'm also a member of Citizens to Save Our Schools. CSOS feels that the justification for closing Harding Avenue is simply not there. We've done multiple analysis of the data, and if you look at the math shows that it's not going to save the amount of money advertised, and it's likely to actually result in decreased revenue for the county, which just continues the spiral of decreased school funding. There are multiple studies that say that a neighborhood school closing does result in decreased property values. I've heard this said that this is hypothetical. Yet in multiple studies done over the past 20 years, what's shown is that property values decrease an average of 10% and as much as 18% for houses close to the school. Now this affects not only Harding Avenue parents, this affects my retired neighbors who are counting on their property values to maintain when they want to sell their houses in the next couple of years and live out the rest of their time. So if we're planning on using that money to fund our schools, lower property values will mean we collect lower property taxes and therefore have less money to fund the schools. And we're going to simply increase the problems instead of helping. So we urge you to take closing Harding off of the table permanently, and let's get to looking to where the other solutions are that really do save money.
Thank you. The next person and the last person signed up is Chris Jordan.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I'll try to keep it brief.
came to let you all know that I support you as the school board. I appreciate the hard work that you do. I think you run a lean and efficient system. When I discovered the cost per pupil here compared to other lower performing school districts, I was amazed. I think you all did an excellent job. I do want to take this opportunity to challenge everyone else in the room and you to try to find other sources of funding. We can't keep up the kind of education that Montgomery County has been known for if we keep on decreasing funding. Education should be a county's first priority. Schools are the strength of the county. I know it's what brought my wife and I here. We're one of the very few who didn't come for tech. We came for the quality of life. And one part of the quality of life here is this excellent school system. The teachers are the strength of the schools. You need to find ways to pay and compensate them fairly in order for us to remain competitive as a county. I would say if the axe has to fall, please start as far away from the classroom as possible. Students are a vulnerable population, but cuts in the classroom affect them very directly. But let's try to work together with the Board of Supervisors by communicating with our delegates and representatives, by trying to find other ways, other sources of funding. We can't keep up this constant downward spiral and maintain the quality of education that Montgomery County has been known for. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes all that have signed up for the public forum. And at this time, I'll open it up to the general audience. And if there's anyone that would like to come forward to this board at this time, please step forward, state your name and address, and you have 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Cord Hall. I live at 145 Sage Lane here in Christiansburg. I'm not here as a member of the Christiansburg Town Council this evening. I'm here as a husband of a teacher. I'm here as a father of a student here in Montgomery County Public Schools. I love the Bellevue School where my children attended. It's fantastic. But I want to ask you a couple of simple things that I ask you to keep in mind when you approach the budget session. Number one, the guiding principle I'd ask you to certainly put at the forefront is that equality of conditions and opportunity amongst the members of Montgomery County Public Schools. And of course, I'm looking at this wonderful facility I graduated from some 20 years ago. It was somewhat in disrepair back then. It's certainly in disrepair today. I'm thankful that we have a sound system that was brought in so we can conduct this here tonight. Because what we did have wouldn't have worked. I also would ask you to very cautiously approach the idea of a tax increase. As an individual who works with children throughout the 27th Judicial District, it's been my privilege to frequent the schools quite a bit, working with those children and asking those teachers for their input. But the reality is, a tax increase is a direct and indirect cost on every child in Montgomery County. There's foreclosure issues. That's traumatic for children, obviously. There's interfamily conflict with the loss of money, loss of revenue for the family. All of these things can't simply be solved by a tax increase. I ask you to be more efficient in finding other ways to fund what's necessary for the schools. And I would also ask you to put on top and on the board what the county is already doing. And what was not on that graph was the debt service. That's $6.5 to $7 million of the county budget per year that goes to the school system, which has not been mentioned here this evening. It's approximately 10 to 11% of that budget. So there's a lot more funding there from the county than just simply the $4 million increased over the last 4 or 5 years. The other issue, too, I would ask you to consider is there was a portion of the budget this year requested by this board.
Mr. Hall, your time is up.
Over $250,000.
Your time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Taylor. I'm a graduate of Auburn High School. I am a parent of a recent graduate of Christiansburg High School, and I currently teach at Christiansburg Middle School. I'm in my 30th year at that school. Tomorrow morning, I'll be on bus duty at 7:10 a.m. I will have been in my classroom since 6:40 a.m. to prepare for students coming in today. At 7:10, there will have been 4 buses already in line, ready to drop off their students. Some of those students will have ridden the bus for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. I will work the entire school day. Luckily, I will get a lunch break and hopefully a restroom break. But I will work the entire day. Students will leave on the final bell at 2:35, having worked the entire day, and the last bus will arrive at nearly 3 p.m., and some of those students will have another 30-minute to an hour bus ride home. If I am not tutoring students after school, I might be attending a faculty meeting or working on a recertification class. But I will work another 3 to 5 hours that night. Our principal asked us recently why weren't more of us coming to meetings like this, and we just stared. And some of us laughed because we knew, he knew the hours we were putting in. I do not know if you know the hours that we are putting in, but it has been a very difficult and draining several years. Personally, I'm now teaching what used to be a year class on a semester schedule in order to teach twice the number of students that I normally would have taught. So I speak to you about lengthening the school day. I don't see how that's an option. And teaching on block schedule, I don't see how decreasing calendar days will allow me to even barely meet the SOLs at a minimum. So I applaud everyone for what they've said today. Many of my former students have spoken here tonight, and I'm so proud of them. But I want you to keep teachers in mind and the hours that we're working and the compensation that we deserve. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Hunter Holden, 403 Wildflower Lane, Blacksburg. Nelson Mandela once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world." That being said, I ask you to continue funding to Southwest Virginia's Governor's School. I'm currently not a student there, but science and math have been a strength and interest of mine for as long as I can remember, and my goal is to apply and be accepted into Governor's School for my junior and senior year in high school. Blacksburg has a wonderful science program, but the Governor's School offers more in-depth classes at higher levels with broader opportunities to include internships with hands-on experience. When my dad asked me why I would like to go to Governor's School, I replied by saying that the courses were more challenging. I like the fact that the students are treated like adults with smaller classes and other students who are just as focused as I am with plans to go to college well prepared. I, like many students here, am enthusiastic about the possibility of attending Governor's School and being challenged. From what I have been told by friends who are already there, the environment at Governor's School is more compelling, stimulating, and with a higher level of responsibility than the average public school. I enjoy being part of a competitive environment with other students that enjoy learning. The classes are all college level, preparing us for when we go to college. Because the students at the Governor's School are the same ability, we can work at a faster pace covering more material. The teachers are well versed in their subject areas so they can continue to challenge the students as needed. In conclusion, I feel that the students who are interested in focusing on higher levels of math and science and show that they are capable of the challenge should have the opportunity to attend Governor's School. I want to become an architect, so the classes taught at the Governor's School will help me achieve this goal. I want an education that I can use to change my world and those that I come in contact with. Thank you for your time. Good night.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alicia Whitehall, and I'm in Christiansburg, Virginia. I've had a lot of history in this area with relatives and even myself personally attending several schools in Montgomery County. What I'd like to say is, although I have a child that's in high school and is graduating soon, and quite honestly, I won't really be that involved in it, I do think that it's important that we build a foundation that goes out further. I'm always curious, why when we build new schools, why don't we purchase enough land so that we can continue to expand as the community grows instead of switching schools back and forth? I do feel it's important to keep the schools open when and where we can, and I'm vehemently opposed to closing down the middle school and compiling them with the high school students. As someone who had the pleasure of attending a private school throughout my elementary years and was then thrust into a public school here in Montgomery County at 6th grade, I was appalled by the behavior of the 6th grade students from my upbringing. And with that said, I say that to articulate that there's a huge difference between the middle and high school students. And while it's not relevant to me, I think it is important. Also, the pay to play. My child plays sports, and I am not a sports person. I've sat at every single Christiansburg High School game, and I can't even tell you who they played, what the score was. I show up, I take photos of my son, and I'm there to support it. Although, what I will say is that the program has been very important to my child. I don't mind paying for anything my child does. But my childhood growing up, I had a parent who would not have funded that for us. And because of that, I didn't have an opportunity to play sports. And I'm just opposed to implementing anything that's going to require parents to have to pay more for their children to have these opportunities. I do think it's something that we can figure out a way to make it relevant for students to be able to afford these opportunities like the Governor's School and sports. Thank you for your time listening to the public today.
Thank you. Over here.
Yes, Christopher Tuck, 539 Wisteria Drive. My address is a Radford address, but I live in Montgomery County. I'm on the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors. I don't mind saying I'm here as a supervisor, but I don't speak on behalf of our board. I'm just one of 7 members, as you are. A few things. You've heard about an email I sent out to some of the Harding Avenue Elementary School parents. I believe that this year we're going to have about $1.7 million in new growth here in the county. New growth is essential. And there is one project alone that could generate hundreds of thousands of tax dollars. And that's the proposed project in downtown Blacksburg. When you talk about investing $60 to $80 million into a project, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax dollars. You're talking about enough money to be able to save schools. And so I would ask all those that are here to talk with the Blacksburg Town Council members. Talk with them about approving this project. It can make the difference. Now, in addition, I believe that last year we got about $1.5 million in unexpected tax dollars, operational funds. That gives us about $3.2 million. Right now, we fund schools 59% of our budget, and then roughly, as Mr. Hall pointed out, about 11% of its debt service goes to the schools. If we just took that formula at least 50%, we would be talking between $1.6 million and if we looked at 59%, about $1.9 million for our schools. I think that could address a lot of our problems, but we also need to look at and understand some of the things that Mr. Hall talked about, which are there are families who don't have enough money to pay additional taxes. Thank you for this opportunity to address you.
Thank you. Over here on this side.
My name is Angie Cornett, and I live in Chawsville. I agree with a lot of what's said tonight. I believe that what we need is an effective and organized, passionate communication strategy. I suggest that we open the computer labs in all the schools and all the strands, have family members, community members come in. Let's have our communications department develop a script, a template, a letter. I think we need to have a schedule like when you go to church and someone's sick and you do cover dishes. I'll take dinner on Monday, you take dinner on Tuesday. I think we should take turns. This school writes and calls this day, this school writes and calls this day. I think we should start now, not wait till the General Assembly starts. I think we'd involve the Chamber of Commerce, use them as partners to get businesses to send these letters, get the hospital, get tech, get any business in Montgomery County, get them involved. They're hiring our future, they're hiring our graduates. We need to send emails to the House of Delegates, the senators, the delegates, the governor. We need to blitz them. We need to hit them hard. We need to be in the newspapers. We need to be in the news. We need to be on blogs. I think this is the great starting point to get the publicity up, to get our momentum going, and to get every single community member, every person in Montgomery County contacting Richmond. I think our middle school and high school students, as some of them have spoken so eloquently tonight, can write great letters to our legislators. The VEA has some excellent templates if people want to sign on to be a cyber lobbyist on VEA. And for employees of Montgomery County, I would encourage you to sign up to be a member of the MCEA. Even if it doesn't fit your politics, none of your dues, go to political events. It's about membership, it's about a voice, it's about standing strong. Get involved, make your voice heard, and let's do something. Let's take this passion tonight and move forward and have an effective communication strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. Over on this side.
Tiffany Bishop, 307 First Street, Christiansburg. Many people tonight have spoken about it, neighborhood schools. I work at Falling Branch Elementary School, and we don't have a neighborhood school, but we have an IE1 school. And we can't change where our school is, but we still service a lot of kids in the county. Our school's actually sitting at 137% capacity, while we have a $26 million Prices Fork Elementary School that's sitting at 36% capacity. We spend a lot of money on things, and then we don't really use them to the fullest potential. I also want to say that Ms. Blackburn came and spoke to our faculty, and one of the things that she talked about was perhaps increasing class size. There's a lot of Blacksburg parents here tonight. There's not very many Christiansburg parents here tonight in comparison. Christiansburg has a much higher free and reduced lunch rate than Blacksburg does. That's one of our biggest subpopulations for the SOLs that everybody's talking about. If we can't service those kids, then our county's not going to meet the standards that it has to meet. We also, we need to work together to form a school system instead of a division of schools. We have a lot of people who are very versed Blacksburg, Christiansburg. If we want this county to work, and we're seen in the state as a county, then we need to work together as a county. And we're not even equally represented in front of us tonight because we take into consideration the tech residents. And so we're ill-represented between Christiansburg and Blacksburg as far as student population goes. We need to look at all of that and work together as a county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tish Petit. I live in Blacksburg. For our country to continue moving forward, to keep producing the kind of innovations, thank you, that we see coming out of this country and out of the CRC and all over our country, and for our economy to keep moving forward, education is key. And I thank you for your service for our educational system. I appreciate all the time you all spend. I simply want to be another voice in support of each of these schools remaining open. They have each served our communities well. 2 of my children have gone to Harding, and we've been so impressed by the education they've received there. In particular, the gifted program has been a wonderful gift to our children. I've been really impressed by the kids who have spoken up for the governor's school. And I'd just like to see the gifted programs supported throughout all levels of education. Thank you.
Thank you. Over here on this side.
Yes, sir. My name is James Crozier. I live at 265 Howard Street, Christiansburg, Virginia. First of all, I want to talk about the teachers and what an excellent job I think that they all do. I am here in support of East Montgomery, the middle school where my son does go to school. He's also the only tuba player in the area and also plays for the high school as well. But it doesn't mean that he needs to go to school at high school quite yet. He's not quite ready, and he needs to mature a little bit more before he does so. But I'd like to also thank the second teacher in his life, which is my wife, because without her, I'm not real sure his grades would be anywhere near where they're at, which tells me that our class sizes may not be as small as they should be as you're asking us to enlarge them and take away more time from our students. They are our future economy. They are what's going to pay for my old age when I do get older. And I do hopefully hope that something's there when I am old enough. Perhaps my money will take care of me, perhaps it will not, I do not know. But as a business operator of 110 employees in the Montgomery area, I would like to think that as we teach our employers that we think from clouds down, not from ground up. And stop thinking about cutting, but start finding solutions to correct and to grow instead of cut, cut, cut. Everything's going to grow. Common sense. It's always going to be. It's not going away. I employ you as I employ my employers, employees, to do the right thing. You're just like me. Just do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Over on this side.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Scott, and I'm a teacher at Prices Fork Elementary School, and I live at 2501 Big Falls Road. And I definitely felt encouraged to come up to speak after hearing a few people talking about the possibility of increasing class size. And I don't know whether a survey has been done with teachers to see if they feel like an increase in class size would be something that we would want to take on as to increase salary. I'd be curious to see how all the teachers felt about that, because I do know that having different class sizes, I've been in class sizes that were over 20, and now I'm in a class size that is at that magic number. That magic number is 16, for me, at least in first grade. And just the growth that I have been able to see with those students is amazing. And the environment that I'm able to create in that classroom. Not that I'm not going to do everything possible to do it with a larger class size, but I do know that if we were to increase class size, it's not going to hurt. It's going to hurt students across any socioeconomic environment. It's going to hurt the gifted students. It's going to hurt it's going to also affect teacher morale. We've heard lots of teachers talking about being burned out. We are now operating class sizes with differentiation. Thank you for the LLI program. Thank you for funding us with programs that do support what we need in the classroom. We are working with inclusion in the classroom. We are working with reduced staff now. Even when we reduce the staff of the cafeteria staff, that's going to affect, again, the overall morale of our school building. We have increased documentation coming at us in all directions. Again, if this, you know, I don't think I would want a larger class size at the risk of my own personal well-being and my own health and stress, if that was the only way to increase salary. And I guess a couple other things I was thinking
Sorry,
about.
your time is up. Thank you. Over on this side. Hi.
My name is Leslie Hager-Smith. I live at 906 Allendale Court in Blacksburg. I am a member of Town Council, but I'm here this evening. I'm one of several members of Town Council here this evening, but I'm speaking as a private individual. I had planned to come in support of keeping our schools open. I have friends and constituents and family members who are affected by possible closures. But as the evening has rolled on, and I find that the people here are speaking very positively, trying to keep it upbeat. Very common theme among us all, how desperately we do care about our schools and our children. And I especially appreciate the problem-solving approach that so many people have taken. So I'd like to throw this out there. I can't lose this opportunity to toss out an idea that I'm acquainted with. I've spoken with Dr. Blackburn about this, and she is well acquainted with a model that we could investigate from other localities. There are at least a dozen other localities in the state of Virginia that have something that they call revenue sharing. And that means that the county gets together with its school board and they agree in advance that they are going to support their schools at a percentage that is reliable. Chris Tuck spoke before me and he tossed out a figure that sounded like 59%, unless I misunderstood him. I thought that the amount that this year we're going to support our schools is at 66%. Either way, it's one of the lowest in the state. It is embarrassing how low that support is. And in a locality where there is revenue sharing, the agreement is made between the county and the school board, and the schools are able to be more planful and basically not jerked around from year to year through the budget cycle, because they know that they will get a certain reliable percentage of the overall budget.
Your time is up.
I suggest.
Thank you. Over here.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Guy Acey. I live at 1210 Village Way South in Blacksburg, Virginia. I have two students, one in Blacksburg High School and one in Blacksburg Middle. And I just thank the board for their time and opportunity to speak. So once again, Montgomery County is faced with budget shortfalls and proposed cuts. So what to do? Raise taxes, cut programs, close schools, cut teachers. I'm an engineer and I trust in mathematics and realize it's a zero-sum game. Something's got to give, and as we've heard tonight, no one wants their favorite program or school to be cut or closed. The primary goal of schools should be education, and I'll say that again, education. In the times of limited resources, we should focus these limited resources on the key priorities, namely teaching and, by extension, teachers. In my humble opinion, the key priorities should be, in order, teachers and salary benefits, books, instructional materials, the classroom, enrichment opportunities such as the governor's schools and facilities. Yet, as a realist, there are limits on how far taxes can be raised, and we need to compromise. We must cut some expenses and we must raise taxes. We need to do both. All decisions should be based on how will this cut impact teaching. To save funds, and I realize the following are my opinion, some non-critical cuts that we should make are outsourcing non-critical positions, eliminating ISS staffing, as Chris Tuck said, sell legacy properties, do web ads, keep pay for play, and finally, raise taxes, and last, close schools. It's not an either-or proposition, it should be both. The hard part, and I recognize, is where to draw the line, and that's not why I'm not a board member. Just a reminder, the core mission is to teach.
Sorry, your time is up. Thank you. Yes, on this side.
My name is David Chin. I'm 502 Owen Street in Blacksburg. Appreciate the time this evening. Wanted to share also that I'm very opposed to closing any and all schools. I'm also a state employee. I understand I've not seen a raise in 5 years as well. Money's very tight for everybody. Our personal family budget, which is of course just our family, doesn't affect everybody else. We budget each month down to the dollar. Most of our friends consider us pretty cheap. We buy stuff on Craigslist, we buy stuff secondhand, used, what have you. We think we're very frugal in that. That said, when I was in high school, I played football, basketball, and baseball, played the cello, also played the piano. Each of those provided very important roles in my development growing up. That said, I've got two daughters, one that I think drastically wants to be a cheerleader for some reason, and another that loves basketball, which warms my heart. That said, despite not seeing a raise in 5 years and our budget, our family budget as tight as it is, I very strongly believe that we will find money to fund their extracurricular activities. We will find the money to pay an increased real estate tax. But we are strongly against closing schools. The safe route to school sidewalks have just been put in our area. Our girls love to walk and ride their bikes. It's also safer. I understand most of that was awarded through grants, so it's not directly our money that we would be wasting, but we would be ashamed to close any of the schools with such nice sidewalks and access to them. Thank you.
Thank you. On this side.
Christy Earls at 2405 Blade Drive in Christiansburg. I work at CES and I have a son at CPS, and I did not come here with an agenda tonight. I really just wanted to listen. But as I have heard from other schools, and I do feel like the Christiansburg Strand is underrepresented tonight, listening to the average class size of 18 and having teachers at class sizes of 16, both of our buildings at CPS and CES are at high levels of 21 and 22 averages. I personally have 22 in my classroom. It's hard to manage 22 kids in one classroom with behavior issues, or gifted, or special ed needs, or just the regular general ed kid. It's a very hard job. And we are already over capacity at Christiansburg Elementary School, and to only have 30–40% at capacity at other schools is very unfortunate to us as a teacher and as a community in Christiansburg schools. We're tired. Teachers are very tired. We have no time to plan our lessons. We are overworked. We're underpaid. Life is hard. We sit there, and every early release day that we get, which we get more in the elementary schools, is taken by a meeting or planning time or something else with co-planning, not just my own personal planning time. I have two children at home, and I don't have the time to go home and be a parent and do my lesson plans and other planning that needs to be done. I just want the time, and that's what comes to me at Christiansburg Elementary, is that we don't have the time to do the things that is needed, and to have over class sizes compared to other schools in this district is unfair. And I think it's something that needs to be looked at. Thank you.
Thank you. Alder on this side.
Good evening. My name is Shelley Blumenthal. I live in Blacksburg at 306 Royal Lane. I also work at Blacksburg High School and am very committed to all the students in Montgomery County. My remarks are going to refer to not just Blacksburg, but to the entire county. First of all, the PSAT is, at the present time, required of all 10th graders. It's a small budget item, relatively speaking, when we talk about big ticket items. However, it's also a very important factor for our young people. It's a 11th grade test. It is not a 10th grade test. Our students that take the test, many of them have not had Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. All three subject areas are tested on the math. We're in a time where we talk about college and career readiness in this country. We talk a lot about it in our school division. At this point, I hope we would look at the fact that we have a significant percentage of students in our county that do take the PSAT in 10th grade and score at a very low percentile nationally. And that does not do any good for those students' self-esteem. we try to preach to them and try to talk to them about options. That hurts their options and what they're thinking. So I encourage you to at least consider the PSAT as an area that you may want to look at. In addition, the pay-to-play point of view, I'm fortunate to be represent the Virginia High School Coaches Association. There's 7,000 members. I'm the president of the association, and it disturbs me a lot when people talk about pay-to-play because they are paying to play. Students have to pay for their shoes. They have to pay for, in my sport, shin guards.
Your time, so
Thank you
very
very
much. One over here, back over here.
Hi, my name is Kathy Tickle, and I live at 4235 Pine Woods Road in Christiansburg. I have two boys, one at Auburn Elementary School and one at Auburn Middle School. Tonight we've heard a lot about buildings and art, the arts and athletics, and the governor's school, which I know are important to a lot of people, and important to me in some aspects too. And I was not really planning on speaking tonight, but I felt I needed to stand up and be a voice for our teachers and administrators. The teachers and administrators at our schools, to our students, they are rock stars, and I hope everyone knows that. I have a story to illustrate this. At our fall festival at Auburn Elementary School this year, we had a costume contest for our teachers. The winning teacher would receive a $50 gift card for classroom supplies. Needless to say, it became a very popular contest. Even more amazing than this was the winner. She was not dressed as a celebrity, or a TV cartoon character, or the latest internet fad. She was dressed as our assistant principal, our rock star. Please consider how important the teachers, principals, and assistant principals are to our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Over here, okay.
Hi, my name is Teresa Thompson. I live at 2300 Fox Hunt Lane in Blacksburg. I've been in the area for 5 years, and I'm a first-year teacher with Montgomery County. I did my student teaching at Auburn Middle School. I've also coached for Auburn High School, and now I'm doing my first real year at Shawsville Middle because I love the area and I love the kids. I remember going through this in the spring, and I came to support Auburn Middle School and our kids there. I will say that in my county, growing up in Central Virginia, they tried to institute the pay-to-play program. It was completely refuted because of our parents and our staff. They saw that in areas that are very similar to Montgomery County, where there's a high number of students with free and reduced lunch status, that would almost eliminate most of the sports programs in the county. They cannot afford to do that. I know it was suggested that students in those situations would have some other means of paying for it, that the county would come up with that, and I'm curious to know how you plan on doing that. But on the same hand, we had a student from the governor's school say that athletics should take secondary position to academics. And it's hard for me to do this because I was a Blue Ridge Governor's student as well. And my sister went to Maggie O. Walker Governor's School in Richmond, and we both had great experiences. We have to come up with some other way. Because yes, the athletics are important, and the academics are just as important, if not more, but they all represent opportunities for our students, and you can't cut programs that do things like that for them. So, as alumni of these programs, please don't. This is my first year as Montgomery County. I don't want to see things like this happen.
Thank you. Over on this side.
Hi, I'm Susan Anderson, 700 Preston Avenue, Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm also on Blacksburg Town Council as Leslie Hager-Smith, but I am not speaking as a town council member tonight or for the council. I just wanted to encourage you not to close any of our local schools, which are so vital to our neighborhoods, our property values, our sense of our own communities, and our children's education, well-being, and sense of place. And I would like to encourage everyone here to contact their board of supervisors. We all know you're hearing us tonight as our school board members. But again, please contact the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors. The kind of information was wonderfully given to us by our school board. And so I think that's the ticket to our funding. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I do not see anyone else at the podium. If anyone else would like to address the board at this time, if so, please step forward and state your name. Okay, seeing no one, this public forum is now closed, and the next item on our agenda is adjournment. like to make any final comments? Okay, hold on, we have some final comments, a couple of comments from board members.
I would. I'm the senior board member here, and in all my years, I have never seen folks come out like you all did tonight, and I'm so happy to see and hear from each and every one of you. I'm happy to hear about your ideas. I'm happy to hear that you're willing to stand up for public education, no matter where you may fall as to what your passion is, because it all makes up Montgomery County Schools. I just hope that you'll stick with us. I hope that you do understand that we do live in a very diverse community, and not everyone can do the same thing that other folks can do in the community. So that we're going to have to be very creative, and we're also going to have maybe some hard things that happen when we go through this process this year. I've not been looking forward to it since we finished the last one. In all my years, I've never gone through anything like we went through last year, and this year is going to be challenging. So I just thank each and every one of you for coming. I hope that you will be talking about public education to everyone that you meet in Montgomery County, because it's going to take all of us to get through the times that we're in, and hopefully in a couple of years things will turn around, because for many years we did everything we could to build up every portion of what makes up Montgomery County, from paying the teachers to our athletics, our arts, and building new facilities. And in 1 year, it's wiped away. It will turn around. It's just going to take some time, and we're going to have to do whatever we can to keep our heads above water. So again, thank you.
Any other board members have any final comments?
Yes, please, yes. I also appreciate very much everyone coming out. The commitment to public education in our community means a great deal to me, as I get the feeling statewide, Commonwealth-wide, and nationally, many of our leaders want to take us more and more to private education. I'm really grateful to Mr. Politis and our Board of Supervisors, who are working on 2 exits at I-81 to possibly help us as a county get a meals tax, a hotel tax. That will help us hopefully some. As we all know, land tax is what we get most of our money from. And it is a challenge for us, especially when Virginia Tech, who sends us a lot of wonderful children, doesn't pay taxes. Jefferson Forest doesn't. So I'm very grateful to Mr. Politis and the Board of Supervisors working to find another way to bring in money. But I agree with all who talked about writing our legislators. As many of you know, Virginia is 7th wealthiest state in the nation. We are, as I understand it, 50th in average teacher pay and 38th in per pupil expenditure as a state, 7th wealthiest in the nation. So all the ideas and energy to go toward reaching our legislators, tell your friends throughout the Commonwealth to do the same. It would be really appreciated by all of us who are so involved with our public schools in the Commonwealth. Thanks.
Any other board members have any final comments?
I think we need to take some time and thank Ms. Blackburn and her staff for the amount of time they've taken already to put this budget together. That's probably the most thankless job that occurs when you come up with this cut list that no one's happy with. But, I think Ms. Blackburn and her staff are spending a lot of time trying to come up with creative ideas there. And Ms. Cornett had an interesting idea. We have some templates out there. Let's all start writing emails. You don't want your schools shut. You don't want funding cut. Get active. That's what it's going to take.
Anyone else? I would like to thank each and every one of you for your time and your input this evening, and certainly this will not be the last time that you will be granted an opportunity to address this board, as we do have an open forum at each of our meetings in which you're allowed to address this board. And I would encourage you to speak to the Board of Supervisors and to write to each and every one of the people that's on the back of the list that was given to you tonight, because we definitely need to have a voice in Richmond, and we need to have a voice locally as well. I thank you again for your time and coming out on this rainy evening. Drive safely, have a safe trip home. Look forward to working with you again. With that, I need a motion for adjournment. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. We're adjourned.